Let's go! Greetings, travelers. Welcome to episode 724 of these very awkward and strange and peculiar Bible study devotionals, as well as BMX learning. Now, what's really crazy is there are some people that have been doing their devotionals for many years. So far, the highest one that I've heard someone doing it for is 17 years. He's almost been, well, I don't know, he's actually, I'm pretty sure, I would take his words, but I guess he has said he's been doing it for almost 17 years, almost every single day, which is insane to me, man, because, there are so many things in my life where, if you were to tell me that I was going to do something for that, even that period of time, I'd be like, what in the world? But as I started thinking deeper into it, I actually really like things that have a longevity kind of aspect. Like there's a long game to some things, right? And if you guys are interested in that, not only is the Bible like that, right? It's something that you can do it, for so many years, right? And people have just devoted so much of their life to it. But also, the flatland BMX realm is like that. And there's actually a lot of I think at times it kind of trips a lot of people out, because there actually is kind of a lot more older people that do ride flatland, but it's also one of the safest forms of BMX riding, and you could do it for long periods of time. And I think that's really interesting. And it's crazy because, man, there's some of these elders in the sport, man, that have literally been riding longer than I've even been alive. They've been pro before I was even born, and they're still riding, man, and it's just so crazy. And I have been getting some questions, because I know some people are all tripped out of whoa, why am I riding flatland and stuff like that? Well, I'm going to be really honest. Why I started riding flatland is because of this knee right here. I actually tore my ACL, and I actually never got surgery yet. So I don't know. I told myself I was gonna get surgery once I messed it up again, because I got two things from the doctors. One doctor said I should just get the surgery. Another doctor said that I should do the physical therapy first and see how it did. And then within that physical therapy stuff, a lot of the movements that they kind of teach you, like the heel slides and that kind of the squat stuff. It's actually funny, because if you see those movements of what they do to try and heal people's to build up people's muscles by their knee to help strengthen up the ACL muscles around it. A lot of the movements are actually very similar to a lot of the scuffing stuff that you do, and a lot of these tricks that we're actually doing on here. And so, it's kind of funny. That's kind of why I started doing it. Though I do really miss the riding that I think I'm eventually gonna have to get the surgery eventually. There's going to be a time, I'm pretty sure, where I'm going to have to fall and mess my knee up to the point where I'm going to have to get surgery or something like that, right? So, but anyway, I guess we're in here now, and we can continue to keep riding. I'm just glad I could even ride even a little bit. I'm even glad I could even just ride flatland, man. I honestly find it fun. I think most people actually probably find this stuff kind of boring, but honestly, I don't know if it's just me or if it's just maybe some of these tricks I'm just not good at or something, but what's been happening with me is just going through racing, trails riding, street riding, park riding. For some odd reason, bro, most of these flatland tricks that I'm trying to learn, man, they have literally been on such a different level of just devotion that you need to have just to learn them, that it's actually just absurd at this point. And some of these tricks are just so hard, man, and so difficult. And I actually kind of find the enjoyment, and for me personally, I actually find it fun that these tricks are actually so hard to learn. I'm like, what in the world? Especially when people do it in a multi-combo and they make it look like it's nothing. So yeah, I think that's another thing that trips a lot of people out, especially when you see like pro flatlanders and stuff like that. Many times you don't really see the amount of tries or even the amount of years that they've been riding a bike and stuff like that. But just seeing some of the combos sometimes they do it so fast. I've actually overheard some people say they don't even know what these guys are doing. Like they're just doing the trick so fast, it just kind of seems like a whirlwind or something like that, right? But what's crazy is some of these combos that they're doing, man. Some of the tricks are just so difficult, man, and and sometimes I can't even do a single trick that they're doing in that one combo. So yeah, it's very interesting. And let's get into this Bible study. Let's get into practicing sowing some seeds out in the field. Well, also you could do this on the bike. You can also, I've met so many believers on this vehicle right here, and hopefully maybe it could be a way of maybe some sort of ministry, and maybe we could go out into the lands. That's the other cool thing about bikes. It seems like every continent, probably besides the Arctic or something like that, most people, that's the weird thing about like the BMX realm, I guess, or just even sports like this, like skateboarding and stuff like that as well, is that it's just like multi-regional, it's, you know, because I know there are some sports that are very like, kind of like only certain countries do it or something like that, but that's it's cool when you find like a sport or something, it's like globally happening. So yeah, let's get into this Bible study and let's try and practice reading the Word of God aloud. We're going to just practice maybe reading some commentaries and just hopefully we can learn something from today's little study or something like that, and then we'll get into bike riding. And also I'll probably get into trying to do a drawing stream again. I've been kind of uploading these old streams, and I started like looking back and I'm like, oh wait a minute, I used to do these warm-ups of like these the wild style letters and stuff like that, and I'm like, oh, that's the reason why I started doing it, because they're just so fast to do. And so I might start doing that again. Hopefully we can maybe get back into like doing the drawing streams maybe eventually. But anyway, we're going to get back into the topic of wisdom and being wise, right? And things of that nature, because we're supposed to be wise towards outsiders or something like that, right? So we picked this verse today, and it's also another verse that I'm basically just picking verses out up in here that have the word wise in it, right? And hopefully if we keep doing studies on it, hopefully we can attain maybe a little bit of these verses within us, right? And so today's verse we're going to do is Proverbs 12 verse 18. Proverbs verse 12 verse 18. This thing going to focus on us. Let's see up in here. There is one whose rash words are like sword thrusts, but the tongue of the wise brings healing. So that, I mean, just even reading that, I mean, kind of sounds weird, but it reminds me of like an RPG game. It's kind of weird because when I was younger, I actually did like playing like the DPS classes, like, you know, doing a lot of damage and things of that nature. But actually, I actually find it really fun to play the healers now. And man, I wish this computer right here, I could play WoW on it, but for some reason, I think I need to get like some sort of like module thing to where I can plug in the actual internet, because for some reason I can't play WoW and stream at the same time on this computer. I do have I could try and do it on the other one, but it's like, I don't know, it's kind of sketchy. I gotta reset it up and stuff like that. But yeah, so when I think about that, it's cool thinking about that we can somehow bring healing to people. And I also think about that not only in an RPG element of just like, you know, healing people, but I also think when I read this verse, like some of the first things that come to my mind are, you know, like how cool would it be if we were able to maybe even encourage or maybe even heal somebody that was potentially, you know, thinking about ending their own life, or thinking about harming others, or maybe they were going to harm themselves, or maybe they're just sad. Maybe they're just they don't know how to handle something, or just maybe they're really envious or jealous, or maybe they're going through a lot of worry and anxieties, or maybe a trialsome period. And I think it's really cool that, you know, maybe it would be cool if we all had just gifts all the time, and we could just give people like, oh, here you go, what do you want? Boom, here you go, like right on the spot, right? But I guess that's the cool thing about our words, is that our words are something that we can have, and we can kind of give them freely to people, right? And I think the other weird thing thinking about it is that I guess the scary part is you don't really know what somebody's going through, right? And that's actually a very scary thing. And if you start watching these, I know some people are into it, but there's like these documentaries on like serial killers and like mass shooters and people that kill people and stuff like that, or just harm people. The weird thing about it is that there's like this commonality that starts. Now I'm not going to say this is a general commonality. It's not like every single person was like this, but many cases it was these people that the people around them didn't even know. They didn't even suspect that anything was going on, right? They're like, oh, well, that person was just quiet. Like, I didn't know he was. I didn't know they were feeling that way or something like that. And I think that's one of the scariest aspects about like emotional states right now, right? Because it's kind of like the whole phrase of the camel that broke not the camel that broke the camel's back. It's the straw that broke the camel's back, right? And many times what I've been noticing and just been hearing from other people, and I've actually just experienced it myself, is that many times it's not just like one event that makes somebody explode, or it's not just one event that just dramatically changes. Well, sometimes it is, right? I guess there is a lot of subjectivity to it. But it's kind of strange to think about that, right? So let's think about this. And then it's also a weird thing. It's so crazy just even thinking about like having like a relay of just this simple verse. Let's read it again. There is one whose rash words are like sword thrusts, but the tongue of the wise brings healing, right? So it's kind of weird, even just that first segment right there, that there is one whose rash words are like sword thrusts, right? And I guess what that starts making me think of, unfortunately, it's actually I wouldn't say it's hilarious, but it's so crazy to me that I've literally seen fights happen, like physical altercations. I've literally seen just people just get beaten upon, like traumatically beaten upon, just because of their words, right? Just because maybe they wanted to like kind of nag it, maybe not nag, but just kind of just like prod them a little bit with their words, right? Or maybe somebody said like a sly remark to them and they kind of wanted to defend themselves, and so they kind of pushed back a little bit, and then that just started a whole whirlwind of effects of just wanting to fight people and maybe even wanting to kill somebody or something like that. And it's just so crazy to me to think about that, and it's crazy for me to think that our words can actually not only get to that point where it would actually cause someone to actually want to harm us or harm other people or harm themselves, but also, it's interesting, but it's also like our words could also have a healing effect. Man, this verse right here is a trip, man. So let's read a commentary on that. That's my own thoughts on that verse. That's Proverbs 12:18. And so now we're going to get into what are some of these commentaries going to say on Proverbs 12:18. Proverbs 12:8. Sometimes I actually wonder this as well. Sometimes I wonder like what the people that, because like there are people that, maybe they didn't go out and say it at the time, but they're, especially with some of these like mass shooters and stuff, right? Sometimes there's a general thing that a lot of them were once bullied, right? They were people that were bullied, and there's this whole phrase of those who bully were once bullied themselves, right? And I know people probably aren't going to go out and say that they bullied that person, right? But it's actually very interesting to think that somewhere in their life, some of these mass shooters or something like that, they were probably bullied by some people potentially, because I know that's what some people have brought up, right? And it's so crazy because I guess maybe the people that have done that, maybe they forgot that they did that, and I guess that's another weird thing to think about. But man, it's just so crazy, and I'm wondering what they feel like. They're like, oh man, I actually remember when I put that person down, and then they went out and just exploded. And that would just be so shocking, right? And it's actually something that I feel like doesn't get brought up much, right? And it's actually very. But there's like, here's the other weird thing, right? And I feel like there's this strange level of like a weird paradigm that happens, right? Because I do know that we live in the age of like a lot of people like to make jokes, and and sometimes it's just bantering, right? Like just lighthearted bantering. Like you just kind of want to maybe make people laugh or make people around you laugh or something like that, right? But what's also kind of scary is also sometimes jokes can be taken the wrong way, right? And sometimes jokes can actually at times maybe hurt somebody to the point of maybe they did feel like they were bullied or something like that, right? Now it's kind of, and that is strange because I actually have seen that as well. I've literally seen fights at the skate park happen where it was like, I don't know what happened, but they started like, it was literally on like they would just send messages or comments on Instagram and stuff, and it just diverged into this crazy fight that ended up happening when it actually started as them just joking. Like, oh, I'm just joking, bro. Like, we're just gonna make, or like they made like memes or something like that, right? And then it's just crazy that, you know, things just start evolving into the point of like them wanting to fight each other because of maybe emotional states, maybe people's, maybe, you know, they couldn't handle it, or maybe, you know, I can only imagine another aspect. What might happen is imagine this, right? Imagine if you were lightly joking, maybe what if like this scenario happened, right? Like, what if there was a scenario potentially, now I don't think this would, I'm not sure if this has ever happened, right? But imagine if you just wanted to make a little meme or something, right? Just to have some fun or something like that, right? But what if you made a meme and you really didn't know the emotional state of somebody, and then they went out and just did a mass shooting or something like that, and this meme that you made just blew up, and they got and actually affected this person to the point where they didn't know how to take it, and they didn't know how to maybe take like all these people making fun of them or something like that, and they just blew up, and they just didn't know how to handle their emotions, and they just went on a crazy rampage, right? Now, I don't know if that's ever actually happened, but I'm assuming that it's bound to happen, or it is probably going to be bound to happen in somebody in our state of where society is at right now. And that's the crazy thing about the state of our society and just the state of weaponry that we have, right? The weaponry that we have, it's just so crazy to me that you can literally have like 2 pounds of pressure, maybe even 1 pound of pressure, and you could literally kill like grown men, like full on grown men. Like, I'm pretty sure even a baby, if they even had their finger on the trigger, a baby probably could push a trigger and kill somebody, right? I don't know how they would pick up a gun and why they would even have a gun, but it's just so crazy to think about that, man. Because I think about that in our scenario of today, right, where you could just like give a kid a weapon like that and they could go out and kill a grown man. But like back in the day, if you gave a kid like a 100-pound bow, they would not be able to like pull that thing back, right? Like what are they going to do? They're going to whack you with a stick or something like that, or you give them like a heavy sword or something like that. And I guess maybe a dagger might be a little different, but you know, it's just kind of like, you know, you kind of see where we're at right now, where it's just so crazy to me, and the amount of lives that we can take with just minimal effort, man. It's scary to me. It's actually super scary to me, and like people like. Sometimes I feel like people don't even take 2 thoughts anymore. They're just like, you know, it's like, I don't know. It's just, it's weird to me. So yeah, let's see here. Let's read this. Let's see what up in here. Okay, so let's see. Let's read this one. Now this is actually interesting because I think this is a different translation. We're reading this. We're going to start with a Got Questions one, and it says, "What does it mean that the tongue of the wise promotes health?" So that's weird because that in the ESV it says brings healing. So I guess there's an element of health, right? Proverbs 12:18, and then maybe there's a health of the mind, right? The mental health of a person's mind, right? Okay, let's see here. People spend a great deal of time, energy, and money in search of ways to promote health and wellness. One technique they may overlook is found in the Bible. Interesting. What in the world? That's what they said right there. Oh, I have actually never read this commentary before. I'm like curious what they're even gonna say. And by the way, take everything that I said prior to this commentary with a grain of salt, right? Everything that I said prior to all that was just my own thoughts of literally that verse. I don't know if it's correct or anything. That's just literally what I basically just thought of when I read that verse right there, right? Okay, let's read this. "There is one who speaks like the piercings of a sword, but the tongue of the wise promotes health." That's Proverbs 12:18. That's the New King James Version. Not only can the tongue promote health and healing, but Proverbs 18:21 tells us the tongue has the power of life and death. In these Proverbs and many other scripture passages, the word tongue is a metonymy that refers to our spoken words. Most modern Bible translations render Proverbs 12:18 in less figurative language.
Some people make cutting remarks, but the words of the wise brings healing. That's the NLT. Proverbs 12:18 reads like an observation. There is one who speaks rashly like a piercing sword, but the tongue of the wise brings healing. In other words, some people break out in thoughtless and insensitive language, causing a spiritual or emotional wound like a knife piercing into the listener. In direct antithesis, wise people choose words that bring healing to others. A concise form of this proverb might say, rash words hurt and wise words heal. There is a deadly poison in thoughtlessly spoken words, and there is a healing power in judiciously chosen words. The right words are like good medicine that can make a person well. The soothing tongue is a tree of life, but a perverse tongue crushes the spirit. Interesting. That's Proverbs 15:4. A soothing tongue crushes, the soothing tongue is a tree of life. That's interesting. So I guess that's another element that we should be learning about. How can we make our words more smooth? Or soothing, right? Soothing is a tree of life, but a perverse tongue crushes the spirit. To use the metaphor of Proverbs 12:18, some people use their sword-like words to wound, give offense, promote corruption, and injure reputations. These are the words of the reckless. In contrast is the tongue of the wise, whose wholesome words bring common sense, discernment, comfort, soundness, and benefit to others. Even when bringing reproof, the tongue of the wise is healing. Despite its being a small instrument, the tongue holds tremendous power to produce both good and evil. James describes the harm we can cause to ourselves and others with our spoken words. In the same way, the tongue is a small thing that makes grand speeches, but a tiny spark can set a forest on fire. And among all the parts of the body, the tongue is a flame of fire. It is a whole world of wickedness, corrupting your entire body. It can set your whole life on fire, for it is set on fire by hell itself. Now that part is really crazy. And that what they're quoting is they're quoting the scriptures of James, but that's actually really crazy what this is how crazy words are, man. James literally says that our word, if you want a taste of what hell is like, if you really want a taste of even just a little glimmer, a taste of something, that James literally says we can get a taste of what hell is like by the words that we speak, man. And it's so crazy because every time I read that, man, it just reminds me, dude. It reminds me how crazy would it be, man, if you could just go into the minds of some of these individuals and hear their internal monologue, right? If you could hear the internal monologue of somebody that was going to just kill a bunch of people, or maybe even harm themselves or something like that, generally these people aren't like joyous, right? Generally these people are very troubled individuals, or maybe they might be schizophrenic or something like that, and maybe they don't know how to control their words or their internal monologue, right? But it's just so crazy to me because it also makes me think about there's all these like weird phrases I think about sometimes, right? But it's sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never harm you. But it's actually weird because I actually think it's the opposite, right? Because what's weird is like sticks and stones may break your bones, but I feel like you can heal from a wounded injury. But what's weird about words is sometimes words can just stay with you, man. And it's actually crazy because even just thinking about that, James actually goes into like I think what a true definition of a curse is, right? And a curse is like let's look up the definition of a curse. Curse definition. Curse definition is a solemn utterance intended to invoke a supernatural power to inflict harm or punishment on someone or something, right? That is the definition of a curse, right? And it's so crazy because when people think about a curse, you think about, it's like, oh, well, there's curse words and stuff like that. I honestly think curse words might not really, in a sense, be a true curse. I think a true curse is a set of words that has actually affected an individual to the point where it's actually altered their internal monologue and altered their internal monologue to a point of just negativity, right? And it's just crazy to think about, man. But it's weird because James, like, I wonder if they're going to bring it up because James goes into, like, I think a good definition of what a curse is. Let's keep going. It can set your whole life on fire, for it is set on fire by hell itself. People can tame all kinds of animals, birds, reptiles, and fish, but no one can tame the tongue. It is a restless and evil, full of deadly poison. Sometimes it praises our Lord and Father, and sometimes it curses those who have been made in the image of God, right? And just thinking about what James just said right there, and that's James 3, 5 through 9, right? That's the NLT. I've actually never read the NLT version, but that was very interesting, right? But James, I think, literally goes into, if you were to ask me where I think the definition of a true curse would be, I would point you to these verses of James 3, 5 through 9, right? About our tongue and about our words and things of that nature. And the other thing I also want to bring up that I also brought up kind of earlier is that I actually do believe there are curses abound, that they do abound in reality at the moment, especially if we could see into the internal monologues of people. But this is the scary thing about curses, is that many times you can't even tell if a person is cursed or not, right? Okay, let's see here. Let's keep going. When James says no one can tame the tongue, he's not implying that there is no hope for us that Christians should give up trying to control their speech. On the contrary, James is teaching the need for divine help. No one has it within himself without the grace of God to master his tongue and keep it in line. Even when he thinks he has his tongue under control, a person will often allow an unwise or hurtful word to slip out. The tongue is truly unruly. Although difficult, taming the tongue is imperative. If you claim to be religious but don't control your tongue, you are fooling yourself, and your religion is worthless. James 1:26. Believers in Jesus Christ are called to be wise. After all, it is the tongue of the wise that promotes health, and we should strive to speak life and healing rather than cursings and death. For if we could control our tongues, we would be perfect and also control ourselves in every other way. We can make large horses go wherever we want by means of a small bit in its mouth, and a small rudder makes a huge ship turn wherever the pilot chooses to go, even though the winds are so strong. In James 3, 2 through 4. That's interesting, huh? So that, what's actually interesting about that, what James just brought up, man, they're bringing up James a lot on this commentary. See how it says, like, they're talking about, like, the ship, right? And a small rudder can basically dictate where the ship goes, and even in strong winds, right? And it kind of just reminds me of the parable of the rock, right? Because the parable of the rock, the Lord Jesus Christ talks about us building our foundation on the rock and not on the sand, right? And when the winds and the rains and the storms hit us, hopefully if we apply God's word into our minds and into our lives, we can withstand some of these. I personally think of that verse as negative trials that could happen into your life that could alter your internal monologue, right? And I think that's actually very important. If we could take note of, sometimes it's hard to remember this, but if you could remember it, like, what are things in your life that just make you makes your internal monologue be negative or become negative, or wants to, like, be envious or jealous or just, like, angry or frustrated or even sad or depressed or worried or things of this nature, and just kind of maybe just having a backlog and maybe kind of remembering what these things kind of, like, maybe, things that maybe trigger you or something like that, right? So we can better know how to be armored against it, right? That's what I'm thinking anyways. Take that with a grain of salt. Okay, let's keep going. To have the tongue of the wise that promotes health, believers must depend on power from God's Holy Spirit. With God's help, it is possible to gain victory over the terrible evil that a carelessly spoken or malicious words can produce. While perfect victory over sin is impossible in this life, significant triumph is not only possible but essential. In Romans 6, 8 through 2 through 3, Hebrews 7:25, 1 Peter 2:24, and Titus 2:14. Proverbs 10:11 says, "The mouth of the righteous is a fountain of life." Wholesome godly words following from our mouths have the power to stimulate mental, physical, and spiritual processes that can restore someone to a healthy and sound state. Man, that is crazy, dude. When I just even read that part right there, it's weird because I know it sounds. Now I'm gonna bring up something that I've never really heard too many believers bring up. But what's also weird is I did meet this really gnarly programmer believer guy in Long Beach in front of Barnes and Noble, and he basically said that our words are actually like spells, and this is actually why we call it spelling. You know, we spell words out and stuff like that, right? And the thing about it is that our words are in some aspect kind of like a spell. Like we can actually put out evil spells out there. And I would even consider like a curse, like cursing somebody in terms of like changing their internal monologue negatively, you know, to the point of where they would want to hurt themselves or other people. I would consider that like a true curse, right? And that would be almost like an evil spell you're putting out there, right? The tongue of the wise promotes health, but when God's people speak life-giving, edifying, and compassionate, beneficial, appropriate words. If we are wise, we will seek the Lord's help in controlling our tongues. We will let our speech always be gracious, in Colossians 4:6, and use our words to promote health, healing, and life. As Paul taught, we should let no corrupting talk come out of our mouths, but only such as good for building up as fits the occasion, that it may give grace to those who hear. Ephesians 4:29. Interesting. And it's kind of weird. I think that part kind of stands out to me where it says, for building up as fits the occasion, right? And I feel like that kind of reminds me about just thinking about like reading the room, right? And kind of like knowing, because I feel like sometimes we can be brash, and even, you know, believers are brash many times in the amount of like maybe scriptures that they bring up or something like that. I probably even do that as well, but I guess in this setting right here, these are just Bible study devotionals, right? But, you know, when I'm like actually hanging out with my friends and stuff like that, it's not like I'm just doing these devotionals all the time exactly like this, right? It's a lot more tactful. I would like to think of it that way, but, you know, it's always not really like this, especially when you hang out with like unbelievers and stuff like that, right? Okay, let's read another commentary. That was the Got Questions commentary. Let's read some Bible Hub commentaries now. Let's see what they bring up. Proverbs 12:18 commentary. Proverbs 12:18 commentary. What are they going to bring up in here? Well, Ellicott barely even wrote anything down. Ellicott's commentary. There is that speaketh rather the babbleth, like the piercing of a sword that chatters on, not noticing or caring how he may wound the feelings of others by his inconsiderate remarks. The tongue of the wise is health, or healing, soothing the wounds made by others' discriminate chatter. Let's read the Benson commentary. Proverbs 12:18 through 19. There is that speaketh like the piercings of a sword. Words that are cutting and killing, opprobrious words, which grieve the spirits of those whom they are spoken, and cut them to the heart. Or slanders, which would wound the reputation of those of whom they are uttered, and perhaps incurably. Or whisperings and evil surmisings, which divide and cut asunder the bonds of love and friendship, and separate those who have been very dear to each other. But the tongue of the wise is health, his speech both in judgment and in common discourse is sound and wholesome in itself, and tends to the comfort and benefit of others, closing up those wounds which the backbiting tongue had made, restoring peace, accommodating matters, and persuading persons at variance and to a reconciliation. Holy moly, these commentaries are gnarly, bro, especially these older commentaries. Bro, they're using all sorts of crazy words, huh? I feel like they're using way different words than the other commentary. I guess that's another one, is how can we be promoting peace, right? That's actually that's a very strange thing. If you were seeing two people fight or something like that, or two warring parties fight, how would you try and promote peace, right? The lip of truth shall be established. The speaker of truth is constant and always consistent with himself. And the more and longer his words are tried, the more doth the truth of them appear. Whereas liars, though they make a fair show for a time, yet are easily and quickly convicted of falsehood. That's weird. Truth may, I guess that isn't that, okay, so that kind of does make sense, right? And it's weird because he's bringing up like being consistent or something like that. And I guess that is another element, right? Like if you were to see somebody consistently, imagine if if we had just portals in people's minds, right? And we could just get into the minds of people and just look into what they're thinking about, what words are they using every single day, right? Ultimately, I guess if you did say a lie or something like that, it would potentially come out, right? But I guess what ends up happening is, like kind of, if you start lying, you kind of have to cover it with another lie and then another lie or something like that, right? And that's kind of what it's making me think of. Truth may indeed be eclipsed for a little while, but it will come to light. It is great and will prevail. Those, therefore, that make a lie their refuge, says Henry, will find it a refuge of lies. Oh, that's so funny, bro. He literally just said what I was just thinking about. That's so funny. I thought he was going to bring that up. There's one thing about today's Bible study that was like a cool little foresight, right? I was like, that kind of reminded me of that. Okay. Perpetuity is in the lip of truth, and the tongue of falsehood is for a point of time. Okay, let's see here. I guess we'll make that. I'm trying to find. Is there another like longer commentary? Okay, let's read this. We'll read one more. We'll read Gill's exposition, and we'll be done. We'll read 3 commentaries today. Or 4, actually. There is that speaketh like the piercings of a sword, whose words are like sharp swords, cutting, wounding, and dividing, and killing. Psalms 57:4. Man, even it's just so weird. Now, what's weird about this commentary is this commentary says our words can kill. Holy moly, bro. That's weird. And it's so crazy, man. It's just so, when I even read that right there, it's just so crazy. I mean, I don't know if this has actually happened, because I feel like many aspects of when these events occur, it's kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back, right? But I'm wondering if there has ever been a time where like a single individual, because of their words, that they were able to just made people end their own lives, or just drove people into insanity and wanted to just hurt a bunch of people or something like that, right? How crazy would that be, man? How crazy that, I mean, how gnarly would your words have to be? Like, you would really have to, like, man, that's just super eerie to think about, right? And I don't like to, it's weird, it's just so bizarre to even think that might have potentially happened in the course of some time in our history, maybe even recently. Maybe even, I don't really know too much about psychology or something like that, right? But it's like, it's so crazy to think that somebody's words could have that ability, right? Such are the words of false witnesses, who by their false testimonies and perjuries are as guilty of the murder of men as cutthroats. Such are the words of slanderers, backbiters, and talebearers, who grieve the innocent, wound their characters, and destroy the good name and credit, and separate chief friends. I guess that's another element. I mean, imagine if you were the person that said this gnarly lie and got somebody thrown in jail for like 20 years when they didn't do something like that, right? And then what if that person like just ended their own life in jail or something? That would be just insane, right? And such are the words of an Antichrist, who looks like a lamb but speaks like a dragon, in Revelations 13:11. But the tongue of the wise is health, or healing, by giving a faithful testimony which sets matters right, by clearing and defending the character of those who are falsely accused and wrongly charged, by making up differences and reconciling persons at variance through the detracting and lying insinuations of others, and by speaking comfortably, cheerful and refreshing words to the injured and abused. Man, it's so crazy. This verse is so gnarly, because like this verse is so like, it's literally like one sentence, man. There's one whose rash words are like sword thrusts, but the tongue of the wise brings healing, right? I feel like it's something that is kind of easy to remember. But man, it almost kind of sounds like a riddle in some degree too. But it's so crazy. Now imagine this, right? Imagine if we were in a world, in a society, where many people were actually hurt by other people's words, but they actually didn't realize that they were hurt by other people's words, and that we can maybe be a light into the darkness or something like that, and hopefully help to heal people that have potentially been injured by people's words, right? That is crazy to think about. That's what this commentary just made me think about. Especially the tongue of a wise minister of the gospel is health or healing to wounded souls, to whom he ministers the gospel of the grace of God, which directs to Christ for healing, peace, pardon, righteousness, and eternal life. Man, that's gnarly. There's something weird about this. There's something weird, especially with this commentary. This one was weird. It's crazy that this one like went into the aspect of killing. So that's what was weird about this. What was this guy? That was Gill's exposition commentary on this one. That words can even kill. Which that is just so crazy to even think about. But I mean, I guess if I look deeper into it, maybe, yeah, there's some damage you could do with your words. Alrighty. Well, I guess that was the Bible study. Today's Bible study was actually really gnarly. I didn't actually think it was going to get this gnarly. Man, today's Bible study was very, very gnarly. But hopefully we can remember some of this stuff, right? We got to be careful with our words, and hopefully instead of like hurting people with our words, hopefully we can edify, encourage, help to build up. Instead of doing the opposite. Which I actually see that's actually happening a lot on, especially on people's comments that they're leaving down. Not like on here, but like on Instagram and stuff. Sometimes I see a lot of negative comments. I say, man, just be careful, though. You never know what that person's going through. That's the one thing I'll probably say, right? Actually, man, it's actually really even brutal just even thinking about that. If you just take it, if you've gone this far in this Bible study, just take note. You'll see it a lot now, especially like on Instagram and stuff, man. Some of these guys that I kind of like maybe have something wrong with them or something like that, right? Or if you look at some of the comments, man, some of them are just so brutal towards them and stuff like that, and it's gnarly. It's really weird to think about. I think there's another element they didn't bring up in these any of these commentaries is the element of today's age that we're in, right? In today's age, there's this element of an alias we can be behind, right? Like, you really don't know who's really even saying it. Sometimes, their profile can be private, or you don't even, you don't even, all you see is nothing. You just see their words or something like that, right? And so I think that's an element, because if you are behind an alias, you kind of can maybe say things and people don't really know, Whereas, like, if maybe people knew that you were actually the person saying those things, like, maybe you wouldn't say those because people would know that you said those things, right? So, I don't know. It's weird, right? It's very strange to think about, but let's keep shuffling this up. Let's see here. let's do this. I guess in some ways, you know, what some of these commentaries really didn't go into, now I think about it, as like a review over it, they didn't really like give any examples what are some ways we can heal people with our words, right? I know they just bring up like edification, encouragement, you know, but they never really like gave any examples. That's actually the weird thing about these commentaries, now that I think about it, right? They didn't really like give any examples of like how does this stuff actually even happen, right? Now I think about it. All right, let's draw some of these cards. What are we gonna draw today, man? First card of the day. A nice peaceful plains. A humble plains is the first card. Number 2, interesting. We have Staff of the Wild Magus. This one always reminds me of the staff of Aaron, because Aaron's staff budded. Number 3, Angelic Benediction. Number 4, Centaur Glade. Number 5, oh sweet, I really like this card. Personal Sanctuary. Man, that card is awesome, dude. The artwork on that one's so sweet. Man, that thing just looks crazy, huh? Man, that thing looks rowdy. This is the flavor text on it. It's not a Bible verse, by the way. There is a place deep within my soul where no foe can intrude and no tyrant can conquer. Sarlena, Paladin of the Northern Verge. Got a forest. And for the last card, I'm going to do it as my card draw of the day. Greetings, travelers. Welcome to the card draw of the day, where we get to observe some artwork. And I actually like finding like the combos of just seeing the artwork. Okay, so today we drew Plains, Staff of the Wild Magus, Angelic Benediction, Centaur Glade, Personal Sanctuary, Forest. For the last card of the day, let's see here. Interesting. We have Stoneforge Mystic. And the card I really liked today for this draw was this card. Look at this card. Personal Sanctuary. Man, that card looks gnarly, man. Good Paladin card. There is a place deep within my soul where no foe can intrude and no tyrant can conquer. Sarlena, Paladin of the Northern Verge. Paladin card. Very well, everybody. Try your best and have fun. Oop, I got to turn my Wi-Fi off. This was the last card of the day. Stoneforge Mystic. Very foggy. Some foggy cards today. Okay, let's see. Oh, crazy, huh? Weird how that one just got a lot of views. It's so strange how that happens. I don't know. Odd. Look at this site. Yeah, so that one didn't even work. Huh, that's weird. That is bizarre, man. Oh, let's do that. Where's my coffee at? Oh, here we go. Let us enjoy this coffee. You know, actually, it's kind of interesting. It's kind of weird. I don't know if anybody's really been watching these things, but if you have gotten this far, it's actually, I'm starting to think, like, what are some ways we can encourage people, right, with our words? And it's actually funny because I actually did meet a lot of BMX riders, and what they're actually doing is in terms of like their marketing and stuff like that. Is that's actually what they would do? You know, they would go on people's hashtags for like BMX and stuff like that. Some very well prominent riders actually do this, and that's the crazy thing. Well, actually, it's actually really cool thinking about it, because I guess maybe they are kind of maybe being wise in terms of Proverbs 12:18. But you know, they would give comments like to people that, you know, didn't have like a lot of followers and stuff like that, and they'd be like, "Oh, keep it up," or you can improve like by doing this, or you can, you know, trying to give them tips and advice on how to improve and stuff like that, right? And I think maybe that could be a way to maybe promote some healing in some regard, even if it's just a little bit, even if it's just a tad bit. I wonder if I should like draw right in the beginning of the stream, or just, nah, we'll just do it at the end, I think. Interesting. Is this why the early Christians referred to themselves by the way? The way refers to getting to God and the method of getting there. John 14:3-6, King James Version. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also. And whither I go ye know, and the way ye know. Thomas saith unto him, Lord, we know not whither thou goest, and how can we know the way? Jesus saith unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. Interesting. Because that's, okay, so why, I was just reading a comment, by the way. It was like someone was asking why were early Christians known as the Way. Man, Matthias is gnarly. He just learned a new back. Man, I need to learn the backyard, bro. Maybe I need to change my pegs out. Yeah. You know what? I actually need to loosen this, I think. I guess we'll warm up a little bit in here, and then we'll right outside, I think. Why is it on manual? It should be on auto, right? There we go. There we go. And it needs to be up just a little bit more.
Song is good right here, man. I really like this song. Gosh, I'm so bad at that trick. Go right outside. I'm gonna go look at the weather real quick. Okay, we're gonna bring this to a music device. Check copy. This. Oh, wait, I'm gonna put this on the back burner. This. Where's our? Oh, there it is. Okay, going outside, taking a journey. Man, I wonder what kind of internet these people have that are streaming. It'd be cool if I could just stream anywhere. Though it'd actually be kind of awkward maybe, because then people would be like, I don't want to be on a stream. Darn it. Cut. My bad, everybody. Hopefully I can find the backyard out here. To try and like land a backyard out here. I'm gonna try it. Oh, Oh, you know what? I think that's where I put the thing. I think I might have put it back here. Interesting. Okay, here, wait up. Let's put it like this. Now that I think about it, I think because I've been trying to figure out how I got this angle for these shots, because I have some earlier shots that I got. I think prior, before I was even streaming and stuff like that, and mountains are such a weird place. I'm trying to replicate that and try and get our tripod going. It's actually an easel, by the way. It's actually not a legitimate tripod. Well, I guess it is a tripod, but it's actually not one for the I want to land a backyard out here, man. Backyard and the front yard. Okay, let's see here. That would work pretty good like that. Okay, there we go. I think that's a pretty good angle right there. We have 2 feet in front of that. Okay, yeah, that's pretty good right there, I think. Put some music on. Oops. think that might be better. So we got till that bush till that bush over there. Big area. Or my internet is out. Huh, that's weird. I'm gonna have to turn this off. My internet's like weird right here. I don't even know if it's like if it's even working on the stream. It says it's not working. I might be like too far away from the Wi-Fi. I'm like right on the end. It's up, bro? What up, dude?
Fucking getting down.
Yeah, I know, huh?
Oh, yeah. Got the setup
Yeah,
and everything.
dude.
Damn, got the laptop. It's cool.
I haven't seen you in a while, huh?
I know. Fuck. Last time I seen you was at what? Costco?
Yeah, I was at Costco.
I was like, what the fuck you doing, man? Fuck yeah, bro.
Yeah, dude.
All right, man. Have a good Thanksgiving,
You
brother.
too, man. Thanks,
we'll
bro.
see you.
Dude, the backyard's hard out here. I still gotta be like a little bit farther out. I need to start marking these areas.
I don't know about you, but my holiday wish list and my grocery list look exactly the same.
I was doing it in the garage. Can't really do it out here. Pretty hard to ride out here right now.
Stop staring at a blank canvas and design 100 times faster using Kittle. If you're a graphic designer, then you know a slow flow makes it hard to scale your business. But using Kittle will change the game for you. And Kittle is free to try out, by the way, so you have nothing to lose. You can sign up using the link below to create an account in seconds, or you can keep watching and I'll show you exactly.
Realtor.com is the #1 app real estate professionals trust. So when you're buying or selling a home, Realtor.com's Real Estimate gives you
mister. Oh, there's the land it.
friends, but no cigar. That's another combo I wanted to do. easy. Really got it coming after the day. Dudes are awesome. Oh, am I still on art? Oh, darn it. I could stream an art, I forgot to change it. Oh well. Sakis Doma. Domas. Let's go inside. For some reason it's like hard to ride in the street for some reason. I don't know if I'm just like I'm weird about it. But the scenery's cool. Do like a warm-up drawing. good, man. I'm actually straight up surprised. I'm gonna start munching. Dude, this is like such a good just snack, just a raw sweet potato. Mm. Hmm. Uh,
It's crazy. Whoa. Oh my God, that was crazy. Oh, that's not going to fit. Darn. That wasn't going to fit. Oh, Nikes. I think I left that thing out there, actually. heck did I do with that thing? I totally lost it. Just disappeared. Oh, it's in my pocket. Alright. I'm gonna figure out I want to make it lighter. This is the drawing setup. Mount it up on our knee like this. Pretty nifty, I think. It's like having a shield. We got this. This right here. This one right here. Dude, this setup is so rad. I don't know about this light though. It's not like we really need it, huh? That shadows my hand. You know what? I actually think we could just do a whole freaking stream like this. I can even put my own face right there, I think. You know what? I guess I could just use tape. Probably the best option, actually. Just tape it down. Could push this down. Dude, this is actually cool because I can draw anywhere now. Kind of like some weird shadows, huh, if I do it like that. I guess there's still shadows like that. I guess this is probably better just to draw it like that, huh? Oh yeah, I could use this as music.
looks better. Does it look better with the light on it? I feel like it would. The only thing is the light's kind of like... Or I could zoom in on this. I haven't drawn in a long time. Oh no, this thing's about to die. Not a donkey. Dude, this drawing setup's sweet, dude. Because then we could just like ride a little bit if we want to, you know? And all we have to do is just like turn this light off, boom. Turn it down like that. Dude, this is cool. Actually, we don't even have to do it like that. We could just like push this back where it was. How do I have it? Okay. Seems I can't get it on the full screen. Oh, I guess I have to. There we go. And if we want to ride, just undo this. This is our setup, by the way. Oh, I forgot to mark it. Oh well. I'll find it. So. Let's put it back on here.
This thing is totally portable.
Dude, that drawing setup's where it's at, man. I just ride as well as draw. get back to drawing. This thing. Dude, this setup is where it's at. I can't believe I never really did this before. I never just tried to make a drawing and biking setup. I'm stoked. Boom. Start drawing again. Oops. Kind of want to just warm up. This is just getting into character design stuff that I was normally doing, but let's say we just do another warm up piece. This one. Piece of tape that. Oh, I forgot I used to have a phone setup as well.
My channel, so you said that you want to fail. I just read all your comments and then I re-edited this thing, so now it's slightly longer than it was. I had it shrink out to like 9 minutes and 3 seconds. But yeah, enjoy the video. Leave comments on this video what you would like to see different, what you would like to see change, and I will do my best to do that for the next video. Let's work together and just make my channel as enjoyable to watch.
How do I get the? I'm not going to be able to do it. There was a time when I used to be able to just watch a YouTube video.
Okay, people should come here and realize how crazy that is.
There we go.
Dirty ass kid. Did we just lose him to DGK?
There we go.
Dude, you made me almost miss that clip, dude.
Yeah. Put music on. I used to have it set up where I could do that on the older streams. Alright, let's see here. Video is unavailable. That's weird. I will do it. That's strange. They like took that song down or something. Alright, let's just scribble. Just warming up again. Just trying to get the flow of it again. Until the song comes on. No, I'm not digging this one. Yep, we're restarting it. I messed that one up. That's how it be sometimes. Gosh, I can't get any of these right now. No, we're just warming up. Wow.
Damn with your chest.
Ugh.
What the? I can maybe try a higher seat, honestly. It might actually even help me with the locomotives. I mean, we could see what it's like, actually, honestly. I mean, I wonder if that's how I can get my locomotives better. Oh, I'm like burnt out now. I used up all my energy. So I have to do the Bible studies right in the beginning. If I were to do a Bible study right now, bro, I would be like shot, man. Let's zoom in it. there.
Chris Bowl. We're tired. Huh. Oh, I feel like I get fatigued out after like 3 hours of riding. Like 2 hours. Actually, it's only been like 2 hours of riding. I'm just more tired today. But it's about time to head out. Let's see here. Wow, that's a sweet bike, man. Really sweet bike. GT show, huh? Yeah, we're out of here. We gotta go do some stuff. Let us leave it on a Bible verse. Today was like, I don't know, for some reason I was tired today. Okay, let's see here. Where are we at? Therefore, my beloved brothers, be steadfast, immovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, knowing that in the Lord your labor is not in vain. Intriguing. And that is 1 Corinthians
chapter 15, verse 58. Farewell, travelers.